In this video, I'm going to be teaching how to cut and sew this 360-degree flare skirt. If you are interested in it, kindly watch till the end. I used 4 yards of Ankara fabric for this skirt. So you are going to be needing your body measurements for this. The first thing you need is your waist. So whatever your waist is, you are going to be dividing it by 4, and then you are also going to be needing your skirt length. So these are the measurements you'll be needing for the skirt. So the waist of the person I'm using is 35 inches plus 2 inches for zipper extension, which is 37 inches. So you are going to be dividing this 37 inches by 4. I had 9.25, so that is what I'm going to be using to cut the waist of my skirt. So I folded this fabric into 2, and I'm using 2 yards of Ankara fabric to begin this tutorial. So I know I said I'll be using 4, but I divided it into 2. I'll later add the 2 after cutting. So when you fold it into 2, fold it into 2 again, just like this. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the side. This is how I want it to be, or this is how you're supposed to do it. So when you check this other side, you are going to be getting 2, which is unfold. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is to divide my waist by 4 plus 2 inches. So you are going to be putting the tape measure on top of it like this. So you see how I'm placing it on top of it. So you are going to make sure the curve is 9.25. So you are going to place the tape on it just like I have done. Curve it this way and make sure you have 9.25. So when you get the 9.25, you are going to mark the point. So I'll be marking that side down, and I'll be marking the other side down as well. 9.25. So you curve the tape measure the way I did. So after that, you measure from the tip to where you marked. I have 5.5 on that side, and the other side I had 5.5 as well. So all you are going to be doing now is to mark 5.5 from the tip all through to the other side where you have your 5.5. Note, you have to do this a number of times before you get it right. So take your time and do it. After that, connect the points together like I have done. Take your tape measure and measure it again, and make sure you have your 9.25 before you cut out. So you can see I'm turning my tape measure around to be sure of the measurement. So take your time and do this. You will get it right. So I'll be doing this a number of times just to be sure. Sometimes you get it bigger, a little bigger or smaller. That means you have to remark it to get it right. So I'm satisfied with this. I have my 9.25 at long last, and I'm going to be using that for the waist. So after that, you go up by ½ inch to get your sewing allowance. That is what I'm marking over there. Next, I'll be marking the skirt length. So I'm using 30 inches for this. Take note of that. 30 inches. So I'll be marking the 30 inches all round till I get to where the fabric won't reach or the fabric is short. You're always going to get a shorter side when you fold an Ankara fabric into 4, unless it is a double length fabric which is longer than or bigger than Ankara. So when I get to this point, you can see there is a shortage. I have 17.5 inches and it keeps increasing, but it doesn't reach the 30 inches. So I would have to add another fabric to it. That is why I said I use 2 inches for the initial stage, and I'll be adding the other 2 inches to the side where there is a shortage of fabric. So what I'm going to be doing is to measure this point down. I have about 28.5 inches. When you are cutting, make sure you cut about 30 inches, or it should be longer than what you have over there, just in case there is something going on there. You can actually add it. So remember that side is on fold. You can see it's on fold. So make sure when you cut out the fabric, you cut the fabric on fold as well. So I cut out 2 pieces of this, one for each side. After that, I'm going to measure the length and make sure it is also the same. So I have about 18 inches on this side. I'm going to be placing that side on top of it as well to make sure I have my 18 inches. So that is basically it. So you cut out what is bigger than what you already have on the fabric. Remember, the remaining one was about 18 inches and the main one was about 17 inches. So 18 plus 17, you get more than the 30 inches we need for our skirt. So after that, just open it up and pin it down like I'm doing. Make sure right side is facing right side so that you don't mess the right side and the wrong side of the fabric. So after pinning this side, I'll go ahead and pin the other side the same way and then take it to my machine and stitch. Make sure you're stitching above that black line over there so it doesn't show in your skirt. So I went ahead to sew it or join it to the other side. You can see the seam line over there. So from here, I'll go ahead and remark my 30 inches from where it ended to get the length of my skirt. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure from the waist. Note we are measuring from the normal waist, not where we added the ½ inch for sewing. So I'll go ahead and continue marking my 30 inches from that point all through to the end. So take note of that. So with this part, I actually made a mistake which I corrected later. I placed it on the seam allowance, but I later went ahead to change it. As you can see, I'm remarking at this point. So when you are marking, take note of that so that you don't make mistakes or you don't make the length shorter. So with the length, make sure you add your folding allowance to it. I've added it to it, that's why I'm marking 30 inches. After that, I'll go ahead and connect the point together, just like you see me doing, to get my curve, and then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So after cutting it out, we'll be lining this, but I'll explain that to you later. So this is what I have after cutting it out, and I have my full circle skirt. So I'm going to be dividing the side into 2 so that I can get my zip line. So either of the 2, either the upper part or lower part, you go ahead and divide 1 and then go ahead and cut your lining. So the lining I used for this skirt is 10 inches shorter. That means I use 20 inches for the lining. You can decide to make it longer. It depends on what you want, but then I used 20 inches for the lining, and the main skirt is 30 inches. So that is the zipper extension over there. I went ahead to do my overlock. You can see everything is looking nice and neat at this point. So this is where I went ahead to cut out my lining. After cutting the lining, I went ahead to overlock every other part as well so that it becomes nice and prevent it from fraying. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to join the waist lines together. So with right side facing each other, I'm going to be placing my lining on top of it this way and then pin it together, with wrong sides facing each other so that the seams can be hidden inside. So just go ahead and pin the waist together like you see me doing and stitch it down just to secure it. Make sure it becomes one. Next thing I will be doing after this is to cut out my band. So the size of the band depends on your shoe. You can either make it from 1 inch to about 2.5 inches, which is okay. So you decide what you want, but I am using 2 inches. So the width of this is 5 inches. I'll be folding 1/2 inch in on both sides, and I fused one side with a very hard woven interfacing. Because it is woven and very hard, that is why I placed it on one side. So the length of the band depends on your waist. You can make it a little longer than your waist and trim the excess off just to be on the safe side. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to open that 1/2 inch seam allowance I folded in and place it at the tip or the beginning of the skirt. That is the waistline with right side facing each other. I'll go ahead and pin that 1/2 inch line through to the end. Since we folded 1/2 inch in, you can follow that 1/2 inch to pin it down and then stitch on that same 1/2 inch. You don't have to remark it when you are stitching. So I went ahead to pin it through to the end, and I had excess at the end of it. I'll go ahead and trim that part off after stitching. So next thing I'll be doing after pinning is to take it to my machine and stitch that 1/2 inch I said earlier. So after stitching, next thing I'll be doing is to fold it on top of each other like this. Let me show you. So after stitching, this is what I have. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to fold that 1/2 inch in, and then you place this on top of it. Make sure it is slightly above the seam, you just stitched, and then you go ahead, pin it down, take it to your machine and stitch. But this is what you are going to be doing. Make sure you are stitching on the seam at the front, so your stitches will pass, or your machine needle will pass through that seam line. You pass it through that seam line through to the end so that it won't be visible at the right side. Next thing I'll be doing from here is to join the back of my skirt. So fold it down like this, and then you are going to be using your zip to determine the length of your seam at the back. So since this is a flare skirt, you don't really need a longer zip. A very short one will do, so take note of that. So I'll be using about 8 inches zip for this skirt. So I'll be taking the zip and then I'll use it to determine the length of my seam. So just place the zipper on top of it like this and then mark the length. After getting the length, you go up by 1 inch. So that is where you are going to start stitching from to the end. So I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch at the side, since that is what I added to the waist of my skirt. 1 inch on both sides, making 2. Mark it down, connect the point together, take it to your machine and stitch, and then go ahead and fix your zipper. So after fixing my zipper, I'll go ahead and then stitch 1/2 inch at the hem of my skirt. So 1/2 or 1/4 of an inch, it all depends on what you want. And after stitching 1/4 inch, that will be all for the skirt. I hope you enjoy these tutorials. Don't forget to like, comment, and share my videos. See you in the next video. Bye.